All right. Hello, students. Welcome back. This is going to be another warm, cool. This will be part 3, where we start the second side of the painting. So you can see my finished painting on the left and the photograph of the still life on the right. I'm going to start off. This is just a red lead. I had a red pencil holder that could hold that, but I couldn't find it. So I just grabbed the lead and started drawing with that. It's kind of nice because if I press too hard, I'll snap it. So it makes sure that I stay very light and loose as I go through and start making this drawing. So I'm starting off with the bat shape, probably because it's the easiest to see, and I wanted to kind of determine how much of it is on the canvas. I'm cropping it quite a bit, like above the right side of the mouth and kind of going through the eye on the right. I did start by blocking in a little bit of the skull shape on the left, but you can't really see that yet because I'm slowly getting a little tighter as I get more of it together. I'm really looking at the edge and the space between the edge of the skull and the edge of the bat candy dish. You can see me looking at angles and holding up my lead to try and make sure that I get the right angles and draw, what starts off as a very kind of straight, linear, long line, angular kind of drawing. And now as I get more comfortable and I place things and I have a relationship of sizes of objects that I feel like looks pretty good, then I can start to find those together and start drawing those out. So this one, kind of starting on the can, I'm drawing the ellipse at the top. I think at a certain point I start to decide that the ellipse is too low, so I got to extend it up. This drawing felt a little bit trickier than the one that I did on the left for the other painting. But remember that you only need to draw as much as you feel comfortable with in the drawing stage. If you don't feel like you need a lot of very detailed line work, then don't draw it. You can do that part during the painting if you prefer. But if you are someone who likes things to be precise and laid out, to have a good plan before you start to paint, then this is probably going to be the most satisfying process or approach that we've started, because you get to make your drawing and then you can start to paint on top. So this one is just about set. I'm going to do a little bit of shading for some of the values, but not too much. Just enough so that I can see where the lights and the shadows are. And then I will switch over and start my block in with paint. I think we're just about to that stage now. This painting, because I feel like I leaned more towards the cool blue side on the left, this is going to be my warm painting. And as a consequence of that, I am going to start using more of the alizarin, maybe alizarin with just a teeny bit of blue in it, as I start to draw in and paint this skull. It is what I'm kind of starting with, and I'm going to kind of use that as my anchor at the start. I'm mostly just tracing over the lines that I have, but one of the things that I would say to keep in mind as you go through and try to do this is, if you see, and I know that I did a little bit over here on this zygomatic and this mouth part of the skull, if you see something different the second time you look at it and you're drawing with the paint and you can make that correction in the drawing, it might be a very good idea to do that. That way, you're fixing your drawing. It's okay to fix it from stage to stage. As you start to block in the colors, if you see something that's wrong, you can make that correction. I think too many students go through, they put down a line, and then they think that they can't move it, or they can't change it, or they can't do anything. I definitely had one of my instructors say, 95% of painting is corrections, thinking that the other 5% is drawing and getting it right. Most of what you spend your time on doing in a painting is seeing what you've done, thinking about what looks good, what looks wrong, almost in your gut or in your instincts, and then deciding, how am I going to fix that? What can I do to correct that so that it's going to look better and that we'll be ready to make it look correct when you make that correction. I think I'm just about done blocking in the skull. I am drawing in some light and shadow lines, the shadows underneath and around to the side. Taking my time, getting that drawing right, and then I think I'm going to start moving to some of the other objects. So here I'm starting the can, trying to get that angle on the can as it's sitting inside the skull. Basically, this is just one of our skull copies from the school, and I basically can pop the top off, and sometimes it's just fun to try and put something inside there. So a nice bright red can so that I can get that warm, cool kind of setup. And with something that warm, it's going to be very easy to make that very bright red and kind of have that as a color anchor for my painting. So I think before I moved over to the bat, I started to block some of this in, at least some of the shadows, with darker values, just so I could kind of see it a little bit better. I'm sure it's a little bit easier to see in this demonstration as well. So these are like the major shadows on the front of the skull and the shadows underneath. Just trying to think about light side versus shadow side, where those might exist as I start to kind of put that together. Then I think I pop over and start mixing a cooler version of this color, a little more purpley, towards the blue side to start to block in the bat shape. So here I'm trying to draw most of that edge, come down across the side of the face, put the ear in, move over across the top of the head, and draw that opening for the ear. Then we're moving over here and putting the wing on, finding those angles. There's a little bit of a top plane because we're looking down on it. Where I'm sitting and where the still life is, I am up above quite a bit. So here we go. We're kind of adding some of that purple to some of the shadows here, just to give them a slightly cooler sense. It's usually a good idea if you have warm light, your shadows are a little bit cooler. If you have cool light, your shadows are a little bit warmer. So this was a warm light situation, so adding a little bit of purple and the coolness to my shadows is probably a good idea. So I think I'm just about done drawing here. This is just the demonstration up to the point where we block it in. And once I'm done with that, we'll switch over to a new video where I'll go through and start painting the rest of this left side. So thanks for tuning in for this part 3, and we'll see you in part 4 where we go through and start doing some more painting in to the darker areas and start filling paint over the whole thing.